Woman tells investigators that Florida Republican Matt Gaetz paid her for sex. Other witnesses said that the lawmaker paid them to attend drug-fueled sex parties. We just got a new bombshell from this ethics probe into Matt Gaetz and his misconduct. And remember, this comes at a time when Republicans won't stop claiming there is a two-tiered system of justice, yet when Matt Gaetz was being investigated by the DOJ about a year back, the prosecutor dropped the case because he was worried about being targeted by MAGA sycophants. Now they reopened an ethics investigation. This AP article reads, ethics probe into Matt Gaetz now revealing allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. The House Ethics Committee on Tuesday gave an unusual public update into its long-running investigation of Representative Matt Gaetz, saying its review now includes whether Gaetz engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, accepted improper gifts, and sought to obstruct government investigations of his conduct. And see, Republicans are always claiming that Democrats are degenerates or hate the family structure. And I wouldn't say that if you use drugs, you're a degenerate. I don't think that's fair at all. But the fact that Matt Gaetz is going out there and engaging in drug-fueled parties and paying women for sex, yet the party of family values won't call him out on that, is pretty hypocritical to me. So this bombshell reads, a woman interviewed by congressional investigators said that she received money from Representative Matt Gaetz in exchange for sex. Sources familiar with the testimony told ABC News. Gaetz, an ally of former President Donald Trump, also allegedly paid others to attend parties where people engaged in sex and drugs, the outlet reported. Witnesses who spoke with the House Ethics Committee staff had previously spoken with federal investigators as part of the DOJ's own probe into Gaetz and his erstwhile friend, Joel Greenberg, who was convicted in 2022 of sex trafficking a minor. These are the types of people that MAGA loves to associate with, yet the MAGA fan base is completely quiet. In the same way that they were completely quiet when Donald Trump's former spiritual advisor, a pastor, revealed that he sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl in the 1980s. Again, MAGA is full of projection, calling LGBTQ people groomers when the call is coming from inside the house. The article continues, according to the sources who spoke with ABC News, the witnesses were shown evidence of Venmo payments that they allegedly received from Gaetz and were asked whether those were for sex. Investigators from the committee received the Venmo records after subpoenaing the company, the sources said. They also interviewed around a half-dozen women who claimed they were paid to attend those parties by Greenberg, a former Florida tax collector. In 2022, Greenberg pled guilty to underage sex trafficking, wire fraud, stalking, identity theft, producing a fake ID card, and conspiring to defraud the U.S. government. A judge sentenced him to 11 years in federal prison. How come the party of law and order has transitioned into embracing the biggest criminals they can find? As a part of his plea deal, Greenberg provided information about Gaetz' involvement in the sex trafficking scheme. Gaetz is denied ever paying for sex or having sex with a minor, and the previous DOJ investigation didn't result in any charges filed against him. Any payments to women he made, Gaetz has said, was, quote, generosity towards ex-girlfriends, end quote. There is no shot that is true, being portrayed as, quote, something more untoward. Quote, they are doing this to avoid the obvious fact that every investigation into me ends the same way, my exoneration. This is Soviet. Kevin McCarthy showed them the man, and they are now trying to find the crime. Kind of sounds like the impeachment investigation into President Biden, where they started with the conclusion that President Biden committed a crime, and now they're working backwards trying to figure out what crime he committed. But in this case, we actually have concrete evidence of Gaetz making these Venmo payments. Gaetz wrote that on X, apparently blaming the former House Speaker for seeking revenge over the Florida lawmaker's role in his fall from power. Quote, I work for Northwest Floridians who won't be swayed by this nonsense, and McCarthy and his goons know it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of MAGA people actually liked him more after they found out that he paid women to have sex with him. Last April, The Atlantic published an article that features a former Gaetz staffer claiming he liked to show off his sexual conquests and brag about his use of erectile dysfunction pills to staffers and other members of Congress. On Tuesday, the House Ethics Committee revealed that after the interviews and 25 subpoenas, the bipartisan panel will continue to review allegations that the Florida congressman, quote, engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, and, quote, sought to obstruct government investigations into his conduct. Lindy Lee on Twitter made a point similar to the one I made just a minute ago. She said, Trump's spiritual advisor sexually abused a 12-year-old. Trump pal Jeff Epstein ran a sex trafficking ring. Trump stooge Matt Gaetz sex trafficked kids. Trump hack Jim Jordan hid sex crimes. Trump raped E. Jean Carroll and his first wife. Welcome to the party of Christian values, y'all. Again, MAGA will always rail against pedophilia and grooming, which is fine. You should rail against that, but then they conveniently close their eyes when MAGA Republicans are engaging in those same exact actions. Watch this video from a few months back of former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy calling out Matt Gaetz on TV.
And I'll give you the truth why I'm not Speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became Speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. Did he do it or not? I don't know. But ethics is looking at it. There's other people in jail because of it. And he wanted me to influence it. And you know what? So then they come out and they say, because I kept government open. I'd do it all over again. We're not going to pay our troops? No, I'm going to pay my troops. You can't do the job? Okay.
Kevin McCarthy is obviously a horrible, slimy human being, but it's interesting to see how people become slightly more rational when they're not as beholden to the MAGA fan base. So Kevin McCarthy was ousted as the Speaker of the House, and now he's openly talking about these investigations. Now he's openly saying he didn't want the government to shut down, whereas all of the other MAGA people, all of the other right-wingers wanted the government to shut down. This AP article reads, one thing under investigation is whether Gaetz, quote, dispensed special privileges and favors to individuals with whom he had a personal relationship, the committee said. The Ethics Committee cautioned that the existence of an investigation does not itself indicate any violation of law or House rules occurred. Again, innocent until proven guilty, that applies here, but we do seem to have a paper trail of Venmo payments and witnesses testifying, saying that Matt Gaetz paid them to do this and do that. So it's wild to hear that these rumors about Congress people having drug-fueled sex parties is actually somewhat true. And it's wild that this is coming from the Republican side. I mean, it's not that wild when you factor in all of their hypocrisy, but I'm going to say this one more time. Notice how you'll see the right-wing media and other Republicans being conveniently quiet about this story, whereas Joe Biden could have shooken hands with somebody 30 years ago who got in trouble for sexual assault, and that 30-year-old handshake will somehow be the silver bullet evidence against President Biden, which leads me to believe that Republicans don't actually care about children or grooming or sexual abuse as much as they claim. They just like to virtue signal about it so they can wage this culture war against left-wing ideals like gay people being able to get married or trans people having the right to do what they want with their own body. Again, Republicans try to virtue signal with the end goal of stripping rights away from other groups of people, generally minority groups, and through that virtue signaling, they act like they're the savior of children. They will fight for children until the end, until it's somebody on their side engaging in the same behavior they try to call out. Leave a comment letting me know what you think about this Matt Gaetz situation. Will anything come of it? I love to hear from you guys. I read all of the comments. Make sure you leave a like on the video, leave a blue heart in the comment section, hit the subscribe button. Most importantly, everybody have a great day yourself.